Okay, so let's just you can come to a seat and close your eyes down if that's comfortable. If you need to start on your back, start on your back. Just want to arrive here in our bodies. So leaving thinking and dropping into the body. And even while you're sitting here, if you'd like something to focus on for today's practice, you could really focus on lengthening through your side waist. So sitting up nice and tall, and that can be supported by drawing the low back in. And lifting the sternum up. And you could bring your awareness to your whole side waist, feeling for length through the side waist. And then you could focus your breath there. And as you drop and arrive in your physical body, just sense what is the state or the nature of your physical body this morning. Do you feel rested? Do you feel tired? Do you feel contraction, expansion? There's no need to change anything. We really are just about noticing, about getting this information. From here, you could blink open your eyes and come onto your back. Just take a few minutes to now create a little bit of movement in your body with whatever feels nice to you. I'll guide in a minute, but just take some slow movements to begin to wake up your hips, your back. We've done quite a bit together, so lots of possibilities on the floor here. Just allow it to be organic, to be natural. And then you can straighten your legs. Take a block, if you have one, between your hands and bring it behind your head. And if for some reason this doesn't work in your shoulders, you could interlace your hands behind your head. So the block is on the floor behind you, and you've got the block between your palms. And then you're going to take your feet over to the right corner. Bring your feet to the right corner of your mat, and then slide the block over to the right. So you're making the bananasana. And then slide your hands back. And then slide the block over again. So feet are in Tadasana. And you could visualize if we were standing up, we would be doing just a little side bend. So you're sliding the block along the floor over to the right side of your body and back to center. Feet in Tadasana over to the right. This last time, hold the block to the right, press your left foot into the top of your right foot and press your right foot back into your left foot. So a little isometric work, feet pressing into one another. And then switch, put the left foot on the bottom, press the right foot into the left, top of the left foot, and press the left foot back into the bottom of the right foot. Really working in that outer hip, opening the psoas a little bit, the deep stabilizing muscle in the front of the body. And then release, bring your arms back to center and slide your feet over to the left corner of your mat. Feet are in Tadasana. And then slide the block over to the left and back to center. And here, just when we go back and forth, one side to the other, it's great information to see if you're a little more bound on one side, you have a little more freedom on one side, a little bit harder to have that, get that information from your body on one side. So just play with that as you move back and forth, sliding the block, sliding it back. And then this last time we'll hold. And then same thing, you're gonna press the bottom of your right foot into the top of your left foot and resist back against that with the left foot. And then switch, press the left foot, bottom of the left foot into the top of the right foot and resist back with the right foot. Good, and then come back to center and just take your block over to the side now. Bend your knees and come into Ardha Shavasana, so a half Shavasana, knees bent. Let the knees just rest together for a couple of breaths, arms down by your side. You could take a few pelvic tilts here, just feeling into your sacrum. Great, and then from here, we're gonna come on to one side. So you come onto one side and bottom arm is outstretched. Your head could be resting on the bottom arm. Stack your feet and take your top arm, resting your top wrist in your bottom hand. You'll kind of just pull on the top arm and then see if you can lengthen the top leg just a little bit more than the bottom leg. So really, just really pulling ourselves apart almost like a piece of taffy. Great. And then from here, just take that top hand, put it in front of you for a little balance, bend your top leg and bring the sole of your foot behind you, as close to your buttocks as possible without hurting the knee. Of course, if you have knee pain, you're gonna slide the foot a little further away from you. But feel the opening in the front of the hip and the psoas here. And then if you have the balance, you could continue to stretch the top arm long. And then keeping that top leg bent, you're gonna roll onto your belly. That knee will come out to the side. Rest your head on your hands that are stacked. Rest your forehead on your stacked hands. And take a full breath here. Roll back onto the same side, extend the bottom arm, rest both legs together, reach the top arm away, stretch the top leg a little bit longer than the bottom leg. And then using your top hand for balance or not, bend the top leg, take your foot to the floor. So you're really staying nice and in this nice straight line, but you're opening the front of the hip and the psoas, the deep psoas. You should feel a stretch there. Okay, and then you'll roll onto your tummy, keeping that top leg bent. That knee will come out to the side any amount, and you'll rest your forehead on your hands. And now turn the toes under on the straight leg and sort of drive with your leg as you lift your head and chest. So the toes are turned under just to give you a little drive, and you just lift your head and chest. And then on your next exhale, you'll let everything come back down, roll to the same side, stretch legs long, stretch top arm long. Reach the top leg a little bit further than the bottom leg. Toes are pulling back towards your shins, so the feet are in Tadasana. And then one last time, we'll bend the top knee, set the foot behind. The knee sort of is reaching towards the bottom short end of your mat here. So you'll feel an opening in the top of the leg, the front of the leg, and the inner hip. Right? Okay, and this last time, roll onto your belly. Your knee comes to the floor. Press into your elbows and lift. Turn the back toes under and get a little drive out of the straight leg. A little drive out of the straight leg. Good. And then you'll roll back onto the same side. Good. Roll back onto the same side. And here now, with your hand either extended or using your hand for balance, just go ahead and lift the top leg. Just 3 or 4 inches. And then you could try lifting the bottom leg to meet. So the feet are in Tadasana, and you'll feel a little engagement in the obliques, the side muscles. Good. And then release that, and then roll to the other side. Rolling onto the other side now. And we start the same way. So resting on the outstretched arm. Top arm comes up and over. You could catch the top wrist with the bottom hand, or you might play with placing your tented fingers behind in your back body space or straight out in front of you, and then see if you can make the top leg a little bit longer than the bottom leg. Using your top arm for a little balance, you'll bend the top leg and set that foot behind you, reaching your knee down towards the bottom short end of your mat. And then as you open up onto your belly, that knee stays bent. You simply bring it out to the side, rest your forehead on your hands. One full breath. Then roll back to your side and go through the same vinyasa. So begin with a nice, just elongated through the sides, and then bend the top knee, set that foot behind you as close to your buttocks as possible. Then you'll roll onto your belly. Press into your forearms, hands on top of one another. Lift head and shoulders. Turn the back toes under and get a little drive by pressing into the back toes, that back leg lifted slightly off the floor. You know, the musculature. And then you'll feel that drive, right? And then roll back over to your side. Starting in the same way. Even this can be a little challenging, and we get our balance from engaging the core here. So pulling the bottom waist up. Bending the top knee, setting that foot on the floor, reaching the knee towards the short end of your mat. And then we'll roll to our tummy. That knee stays bent. Hands are stacked. Press into your elbows to lift. And turn the back toes under and use the leg to drive your lift a little higher. And then roll back to your side. Find your balance here. You could have the front hand out in front of you, or you could play with having it just at your side, or even extend it up. Lift the top leg, not too far. Feet stay in Tadasana. Lift the bottom leg. So feet are stacked in Tadasana. If you roll out, just start over. We're practicing in the bodies we have right now today. And then release everything down. Come onto your belly and press yourself up, hands and knees. Hands a little forward of the shoulders and knees right underneath the hips. And just rock your hips back and forth slightly. So you feel a little bit of a opening on one side and the other side, just as you move back and forth gently. Great. And then reaching the hands forward as you drop your hips back towards child's pose. Do not set your head down. Just keep the length through the side body, through the arms, tenting your fingers here. And then you'll let your forearms come to the floor, slide forward, and come into sort of an elongated partial forearm plank. And then just bring your hip to one side, and then bring your hip over to the other side. So you're just swaying your hips side to side. If you want to, you can roll all the way to one hip and then press up and roll all the way to the other hip. If you wanted to, I've been on my knees, but you could turn your toes under and do the same thing on your toes. So any variation of forearm plank here that you want. Great, the knees to the floor again. Reach your hips back. Reach your left hip over to your left heel and hands to the right. And then inhale, walk your hands through center. Take your right hip over towards your right heel, hands to the left. And then back to center. And then we're going to come back down to our side. And we're going to find those obliques. So this time, you'll come down and you will need 2 blocks at the ready. So have those ready for some really fun work. We'll come down to our side, and you're going to have your forearm lined up with the short edge of your mat. Really press into your forearm so you don't allow your shoulder to sink into towards your ear. So you're going to press there. Feel the lift underneath your body. So we've done this before where we allow ourselves to sink to the floor and then on the exhale pull up. So start with that strong pulling the side waist away from the floor. Good. And then you'll lift your hips, right? And just hold that. And one more full breath. So my knees are bent. Legs straight would be quite a bit harder, but you choose where you want to be with your legs, and then release back down. Good. Now this time, we're going to inhale the arm up, exhale, twist and draw it underneath the front arm. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, reach down and through. And let's do 4 more of these. Oh, I'm a terrible counter. Let's see. Hopefully you've done your 4 or so. Good. And rest the hips down. We'll go to the other side. And obviously, if there's any impact on your shoulder, you want to not do this, okay? So I've got my forearm lined up with the short edge of my mat. My knees they're not quite out from my hips. They're at about a 45-degree angle. And at the beginning, I just want to really set myself up for success, really feel the obliques pulled up and in towards midline, shoulder not in the ear. And then you could just simply lift your hips. Try to keep your hips, your rib cage, and your head in the same plane. And just feel that work. And then release your hips back down. And then we'll inhale, sweep the arm up. Exhale, reach underneath. Inhale, turn and reach up. Exhale, reach underneath. How about 4 more on this side? And release the hips back down. Good. All right, we're going to go back to the first side. And if you have 2 blocks, you're going to take your blocks. And if you don't have 2 blocks, well, you could repeat what we just did, or you could go to the bathroom. And then if you have 2 blocks, lucky you, you're going to bring your knees right up to the blocks, like so. So there's the blocks, right? And I've got my knees touching the block. And then I set up my forearm the same way. And I'm gonna bring my top knee onto the top block. And then I'm gonna press up. And then I could stay here, but I'm gonna try to lift the bottom knee off the floor. And release. Now you could do some repetitions of that. I'm just introducing it for today, and it's a pretty good amount of work, so let's see how it goes on the other side. Knees into the block, pressing into the forearm. Top knee goes on the top block, and it really, I've tried it with 1 block and 2 blocks. You really want 2 blocks for this. One block's really hard. And then you press up, and then you're really pressing this top leg into the block, so utilizing the inner thigh, and then you lift the bottom knee. So obliques working with inner thigh. And then release. Good. All right. Enough of that for now. Okay. Let's take, you'll need a block again actually, but let's come just to a sitting position, Sukhasana, and just move through your spine in a really organic way, so moving right and left. Good. And then back to the tabletop position. Take a couple of cat-cows here. Always nice to have something that is something that we always do that feels really nice. Good. And then once you do a couple of those, find a neutral spine. So the natural curve in your back. So a little bit of forward tilting of the pelvis. Turn the toes under, lift your knees just off the mat and set your hips back. Feel the length through your side body and then begin to extend the legs in downward facing dog. Very good. And then from here, you're going to inhale your feet up to your hands in a forward fold. And if you have your block handy, that'd be very nice to set your hands on the block and reach your crown away from your sacrum. So flat back, lots of length in the side here. And then exhale to fold. Take your hands back to the mat. Set your feet back in downward dog. Bend the knees again and find in your mind's eye the top of your thighs, where the crease of your thighs is, right? Where the thigh meets the pelvis. Take that crease back. Back it up, back it up, back it up. Feel the length you've created in your back and side body, and then begin to straighten the legs. Now inhale the right leg up and exhale as you bend your right knee and rock yourself forward to sort of a modified plank. Set your right foot between your hands, left knee on the floor, and then press yourself up. So you're in what I call proposal pose, or kneeling lunge. Draw your right foot, the front foot, towards your back knee. Draw your back knee towards your front foot. Good. And then you can come forward and back up, resting your hands on your front thigh. The next time you come forward, pick the back heel up and bring it towards your buttocks. And then pressing back up, take the back foot down. Do that a few times. Very good. And then this last time, hold a little bit. You might get a cramp in the hamstring. See if you can stick with it here. Good, and turn the back toes under, press up, crescent lunge. Inhale the arms up, feel length in your sides. Exhale, hands down around the front foot. Step back to the downward facing dog. Bend the knees, drive the crease of the thighs back, where the top of the thigh meets the pelvis. Drive that spot back, then extend the legs slowly. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, bend, come forward. Left foot between your hands, right knee to the floor, and come on up. Draw the front foot isometrically back towards the back knee. Draw the back knee towards the front foot. And then you can just begin to move in and out here with that nice stability, moving in and out of the lunge. And then next time you come forward, draw the back heel up towards the buttocks. Maybe this foot goes a little further, maybe not as far. So we're just getting the hamstring to have a little work. You might get a little cramp, which I just did the last time forward. You can hold that. Don't be afraid of a cramp. It'll go away. Good. And then set the back leg, back foot back down. Turn the toes under. Press up, crescent lunge. Inhale, sweep the arms up and extend through your side waist, reaching ring finger towards the ceiling. Draw low ribs in, and then exhale, hands down, round the front foot, step back to the downward facing dog. Inhale to come forward onto your knees and set your hips back on your heels. Good, so now you're You're just sitting in Vajrasana, thunderbolt pose. Let's just take the arms up and feel the outer blade, part of the shoulder blade lifts, but the inner part stays sort of tugging down, if that makes sense. I hope it does. And then can you just move your rib cage to the right, back to center, to the left, back to center. And one more time, just the rib cage, if you can. Just isolate, moving your whole rib cage one direction and then the other. Great. And then come up onto your knees. You'll want your block here. We're going to come to gate pose. So if you need to pad your knees, take time to pad your knees. And the block will come to the outside of the left knee. Extend the right foot out long. Now, on Wednesday, we talked about you can have your toes up, right, and your heel on the floor. But if you can get that internal rotation of the thigh, if you can get the sole of your foot to the floor, now we're working on that peroneus muscle. And this is the foot position for many of our standing postures. So see if you can make that happen in your body. And if not, you might turn it a little. It might not be lined up completely parallel with the short edge of your mat. It might be toes more towards the corner there. Good. And then with your hand on the block, you'll inhale up and over. Then as you inhale, you reach the top arm up. Exhale, bring that hand down to the extended leg. Inhale the other arm up, and exhale, side bend in that direction. Inhale to come back up. Exhale, other hand. Inhale, right arm comes up. Exhale, side bend over. Now, one of the things that we want to work on is not borrowing from the other musculature that we're used to using. So notice as you move back and forth, if you tend to flex at the waist, right, or even back bend at the waist, so you're using the, you're more in the sagittal plane, see if you can stay in the coronal plane. So really using side waist, that QL, obliques, and just a few more times as we move back and forth here. Very good. And then from here, inhale both arms up. So keep the leg outstretched. Both arms come up, and you'll exhale your hands down to the floor and walk them towards the outstretched legs. So they'll be in front, almost like downward dog arms, right? And then see if you can reach the left hand just a little bit further. A little bit further. And turn the left ribs towards the ceiling. Lift the left lung towards the ceiling. Keep pressing into the right foot. So really press into the right foot. You'll feel your inner leg working. And then from here, friends, see, maybe you can bring your hip back towards your left heel, your bent leg heel. Ah, hamstrings. Woo! Walk your hands forward and back up. And then balancing on that bent knee, let's bring the other one beside. Good. Now we'll try the other side, the easy side. And block out to the right of the right bent knee, left leg extended out. And notice even how you set up. so that you're setting up sort of like in one plane and not back leg back, you know. Anyway, now right hand to the block, and we'll inhale the arm up, left arm up, and exhale into the side bend. Inhale back to center, and exhale, release the left hand to the left leg. Then inhale the right arm up, and exhale into a side opening. So it's much, much smaller on going in this direction. And then just go at a pace that's skillful for you, right? Remembering that we're going through an inhale, exhale. Breath contains the movement. I want to go at a speed that you can get some information. So inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale. And do maybe a couple more in each direction. Being spontaneous, so if you want to hold for a little bit longer on one side, please do. And once you've done an even number on both sides, you'll just come back to center, recommit that outer heel of the outstretched leg. Inhale to reach the arms up, and exhale, just a fold, hinging at the waist. And your fold might be right here. You might stay right here. If you can reach the hands forward, like you're going into downward facing dog. All right, so get the downward facing dog arms. I'm getting a lot of length in my arms. And maybe I can reach the right arm a little bit further than the left. And then balloon the right lung up towards the ceiling, like lift that right lung towards the ceiling. And we did something very similar to this on Wednesday, so if you're in class on Wednesday, this should be somewhat familiar. And then maybe you can slide your right hip back towards your right heel. I can't quite get mine all the way on there, but slide that back. Really commit to the outstretched foot. Really commit to the whole sole of the foot on the floor. And you'll be firing up the peroneus muscle and the outer lower leg. Good, and then inhale, walk your hands to center, slide yourself back up. Balancing on the bent knee, lift the other knee up and set it down. And then come back to the table position. Just do a few cat-cows here. Coming back to a sense of symmetry. And then set your hips back in the child's pose. Let your hips come all the way to your heels, all the way to your heels. So you could have your knees together here, resting on your thighs, or knees apart and belly down to the earth. Just take a few breaths in this restorative kind of pose. Okay. And then hands beside you, press yourself up. Come back to table, turn the toes under, press into downward facing dog. Walk your feet up to your hands and hinging at the waist, come on up to Tadasana. And you'll need your belt now, so have that handy. And we'll just begin in Tadasana. So finding firm feet, equal standing, and stack your head over your sternum, over your hips. Now you could take your feet a little wider here if you wanted to for balance. And we're just going to do a side bend, but really concentrating on staying in that plane. So not flexing or back bending, extending, but we'll start by just taking the head to the right, the rib cage to the right, and then the left arm up and over. Feel the obliques working, the QL working. Inhale back up to center. Release your arm to the side. Take your head to the left. Take your rib cage to the left. And then finally sweep the right arm up and over. Legs are strong and firmed. Inhale back to center. Great. All right. So 2 postures that utilize the side waist, or that we're asked to utilize these muscles that we've been working on, are triangle, Trikonasana, and half moon, Ardha Chandrasana. So we're going to play with the belt with those 2 postures. So you'll take your belt. You want the tail end of your belt accessible on your right hand. We're going to go into the right foot first with the belt. So have the tail on the right hand side so you can play with the adjustment. And then you're going to capture your heel, right heel, in the belt. So right heel, I'm going to have my right foot back and my left leg forward in the triangle position. So good, good 3 feet here. All right. And then I'm just going to slide. I'm going to really keep both side waist long, both sides of my waist long, as I slide into Trikonasana with my front hand on my front shin. I'm then going to pull on the belt, and I can tell I've got mine a little bit too long. I want to keep the back arm straight as I pull on the belt to open the top shoulder. So I'm really committed to the big toe mound front foot, and I'm really committed to the back heel and the back foot, and I'm pulling on the belt to open my shoulder. Keep the side waist long, so you don't want to collapse in the lower side waist. And we want to be really aware if we're bending at the waist. So that's an example of utilizing different muscle groups that we're dependent on. But here we are in the side waist, in the coronal plane. And I'll turn around so you can see that from the back. I've got the belt on my heel, on the right heel, left foot forward, lengthening this through the sides, and then as I come into the Trikonasana, I pull on the belt, open the top shoulder. You could take your gaze down to your front foot or just softly forward. Keep length in your neck. Now to come out, just bend the front leg and heel toe that foot. You can step forward, and now we'll try the other side. Again, so you're going to play with, you want the strap, the end of the strap at your left hand. And you take the strap right underneath your left heel, and it's behind your leg, okay? It's behind your leg. You come into this triangle stance, and we're going to keep the side body long. So think about length through the side body as you sort of gradually make your way into the triangle pose. So you can just sort of slide the front hand down, and then press into the front shin with your hand lightly and press back with your shin. Commit to the left heel, the back heel, and then you're going to pull on the strap pull on the strap to open the top shoulder. Can you feel the peroneus working here? That outer lower leg muscle group. There's actually 3 of them. Can you feel engagement there? Okay, to come out, bend the front knee slightly, sort of lift yourself back up. And let's take the strap just in the front of the body for just a minute and just open up the shoulders a little bit. A little flossing. And now we're going to go to Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. So you'll want a block for this. And you could, I'm just going to move my mat out of the way. Sometimes the extra mat on the carpet is just a little bit too much to balance on. Much easier to balance on a hardwood floor. So you're going to use the block, or you could use a bit of wall space for your balance. So we'll start with the block to, I'm going to strap the right foot again first, and I'm going to have the block forward of my left foot. So I'll strap the the right foot, right heel, and try to get it underneath my heel. And I'll take a sort of a short triangle stance. Okay. And I've got my block set up so that I can come right to it. So it is forward of my left foot and to the outside. All right. And then I'll bend through the front leg, reach for my block with my left hand, press into the block with my left hand, lift my right leg, and pull with the strap. Now, elbow bent here, pulling with the strap, really committing my heel into the strap, top leg, heel into the strap, pulling against that heel. And then can I turn my chest open? Keep the length in the side body. So I reach my crown, the crown of my head, reaching away from my pelvis. And to come out, you'll bend the front knee and step your foot down. Good. Great, hope that felt okay. And you might play with changing the length of your belt if it didn't feel just quite right, but let's see how we do on the other side. So block is forward. So it could be a block, it could be a chair, or you could be doing it against the wall, right? And then I'm going to take the strap, set my left heel in it. Okay. And the strap should be about the same length as you used in the Trikonasana. And I'll start with a sort of short stance so that I set up my block to the outside, maybe 2 or 3 inches, and maybe 10 inches in front of my right foot. And then I'll bend my front knee slightly as I reach my hand down to the block. Might have to adjust there. Then I'll pull my leg up with the strap, press my back heel, my top heel, into the strap, really commit to the heel into the strap against the heel. Eyes could be down towards the floor, or you could attempt to look out towards me. And you'll feel on the standing leg, you'll probably feel your lower leg muscles working to keep your balance, the peroneus group working here. To come out, simply bend the front leg, sweep the back leg down, and you can stand up. And the last thing we'll do, we'll come back to the floor. And for here, you might want a bolster or block setup. I've been playing around with a 2-block setup, so blocks side by side. And then I've got lots of room for my sit bones. Good. And we'll bring one leg out in front and the other leg bent. Okay. And we'll sweep the same arm as the straight leg. We're going to sweep that around and come into an open twist. So the opposite arm could be on the inside. So let your pelvis turn and come into that twist. And then come back to center, and then let your pelvis turn the opposite direction and twist in the opposite direction. So it's sort of a variation of Ardha Matsyendrasana. Release. Take the other side. So up on the block just allows us to get our pelvis tilted anteriorly forward, so that keeps a natural curve in the spine, and that's a better way to go. So then we reach around, straight leg side, reach around, just take the back of your pants, and opposite arms comes inside. You could press your elbow into your leg here, and back, resist back, and that just gives a little tightening feeling. Just allow how you have some resistance to move against. And release. And again, let the pelvis turn and then come into the closed twist. So reaching towards the bent leg side. And release back to center. And then come off of your block or your bolster or your blanket, whatever you're sitting on. Come down to your back. And here you might take whatever feels nice to settle down towards Shavasana. So if you like to finish with a figure 4 or some windshield wiper movements, anything that feels nice to finish with before you take your legs long, arms to the side. You could also do Shavasana on your belly, or you could go to some wall space, take your legs up the wall for a cooling inversion. But if you're on your back, press the back of your head into the floor and tuck your shoulder blades underneath. Feel an openness through the collarbones to your chest, and yet relaxed support from being supine on the earth. You can let your feet fall out to the sides. And soften your hands here. Allow your breath just to be natural and relaxed. So physiologically, anatomically, this physical part of our practice about getting out of habitual movement and patterns. It's just a reminder for us really to do the same thing throughout our whole being. So examining our own habitual thoughts, our own stuck ideas. So there are days when I practice that I just want yoga to be what it is for that moment, which is great, just delighting in the movement in my body. And there are other days when I feel strongly that yoga informs me about how to do these things in the rest of my life as well, how to stretch myself in other ways. There's no right or wrong, just let it be of service to you so that you might be of service to others. So stay in Shavasana as long as you like. And if you want to join us back in a seat, you could sit up, come back to your seat. And bring your hands just in front of your heart center. Let's go nice and slow, bringing the hands together. The edge of the bottom edge of your palms, pinky finger and thumb together, and leave some space between the rest of your fingers for the lotus flower. Padme, this is the Padme mantra. So this is a symbol of receiving. What do you need to receive today? What could you give to yourself? And what might you need from others? And then finally, what you do receive from others, could you offer gratitude for that? Anyone who made practice today possible. I'm going to close my hands then now, completely fingertips together, finger pads together, and just touch my thumbs lightly to my sternum. May the merit of our practice encourage all beings to unveil the hidden brilliance that lies within. Namaste.